Welcome back to Season 6 of the Real Life Caddy podcast. I'm here with partner in crime, Michael Zabbo. Welcome, Mike.
Happy New Year. It's good to be back. We are back, finally.
Yes. What do you have in store? What are your highlights for today's episode?
Well, a lot of the same great stuff you listeners love. We got bathrooms. We got money. We got food we're talking about. I took the LinkedIn recommendations to heart and picked up a side hustle. Not digging ditches yet, but we're getting there.
Lovely. On top of that, we'll also be talking about the state of the golf in the world, our Golf and Caddying Resolutions, and of course, our shoutouts at the end with some mailbag questions. So let's get started. So there you go, Michael. New intro.
I like it. What do you think
of that?
Yeah.
You like that?
That's a new flavor to the podcast. I like it.
I think every year I always try something new. You know what I mean? We're kind of like hack golfers where we're always tinkering, always changing something.
I mean, you try something new, you talk about trying something new.
Now, I just said to you, we should be letting the listeners know this might not happen. I promised a new theme tune
Couple years ago, yeah.
Can you believe that's 12 months ago?
Knowing you, yes.
Yes. However, it's very close.
It is very close.
So season 6, we will have a new theme tune.
It's coming.
We will be bringing more guests.
More guests, more, a lot of different flavors, you know, golfers,
Caddies,
etc.
experts, and of course, always more of what you love, the Caddie Stories. Without further ado, Zabbo, crack on. What do you have?
Well, a lot of new things. I looped with, it's been so long since we last recorded a podcast. It's been a long
2.5 months.
This is the longest hiatus I've had, so I've been itching to get back here in the studio and start talking. You know, I had a loop many months ago with Matty D. This guy, I mean, you get guys who spray the golf ball, right? You get guys who they miss it, right? I mean, once in a while, you're going to hit one square in the club face, hit it down the middle. This guy was spraying them so far left, so far right. I mean, they were literally off the map everywhere. We get to the 9th hole. He hits a car in the parking lot on his second shot. I mean, it's so far right. I mean, I think it hit a car on the other side of the road at the Wee course. It went over the road in the other parking lot where the pro shop was, hit a car. Wow. So we come to the 14th hole. We get out there. I mean, he's missing them. I'm telling you, when I say so far, he doesn't miss one down. He doesn't hit one down the middle. Every single shot is way left or way right. No consistent miss.
Hold on. So you guys go forward at 14?
He's still playing, which I'm impressed. I can't believe he didn't run out of balls because he would hit one so far off the mat, he didn't even bother looking for it.
I can't believe Matty would go up the fairway.
Oh, Matty was he was kind of walking, sighing. He's like, oh, God, here we go. So we get to 14, and you know there's just one home there on the left on 14. Yeah. And he hits it, and you hear crash right through the skylight window. And the guy's in there. He's in there kicking breakfast for his wife. And he comes running out. Goes, is this your golf ball? Is this your golf ball? I'm like, oh, no, here we go. He's like, come here. And he goes running over. My guy, he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I just missed it a little bit. I'm like, a little bit, bro. I'm like, come on, missed it. I mean, that was one of your better strikes of the day. And the guy wants his info. He's taking down his info. Can you believe that? He's like, I need your info, man. I mean, you broke my window. You're responsible.
It's all these rich pricks that drive Teslas and own expenses.
But what do you think about that? Like, are you really responsible?
Yeah.
If you are responsible?
No. So don't you remember we had this conversation 2 years ago, and a lawyer up in Vancouver.
Yes, I vaguely remember this.
Matt Philbrook emailed us. He said that when you build a house on a golf course, after the golf course is built, you assume responsibility for damage. So Johnny Hack doesn't need to pay for that.
Yeah, because that house was definitely built after
the golf course.
Yeah.
So
you know you're living on a golf course. I mean, get the appropriate windows for a golf ball strike.
Is it the right thing to do? Like, if you hit a house and broke a window, knowing that it's not your responsibility, what would you do? That's what insurance is for.
I'd go the other way. Yeah, see you later. Yeah.
Well, if he can, it depends how the person acts or reacts.
Yeah, that's true.
And insurance is there for a reason.
It is.
Would you have bulletproof skylights though?
I would. You see, I mean, you see most of those homes now. They have the you can see the reflection on the glass. You can tell that they're like
Peppered.
Yeah, they get hit all the time. So,
well,
you come to learn.
Mm-hmm. I've seen it several times. There was one house in the wee course in number 13, and they obviously didn't quite get it because that house constantly had cardboard. Which, what's that going to do?
Yeah, it prevents the next strike, but the damage is already done.
One question that I posted on the Twitter, I can't call it X. Can you call it X?
I never call it X. It's Twitter.
I just call it Twitter.
Sorry, Elon.
If you're not following, glorified donkey.
Get on there.
We're up in the game. I sent out a question this morning, Zabbo. Now, this concerns you because I saw you last week. I text you from one hole. I says, turn around. We'd been texting about some other stuff.
Yeah.
And you replied that you were starving. And we had a wee bit of a laugh about it. I then posted a survey this morning on the Twitter.
A little poll.
If a golfer takes a caddy, should the golfer offer to feed and water the caddy for the duration of the round? Okay.
I'd got to say 98% said yes, correct?
90, slightly off.
What?
Slightly off, old boy.
You always feed the caddy. I mean, I get the 2%, but come on. What is it?
Lots of votes. It's only been out there for a couple of hours, and there's already a couple of hundred votes on there. 73% say yes. 27% say no.
Say no?
No.
Well, there's 27% of the people I don't want to caddy for. Stay away from me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good.
To put a little bit of context on this, is that you were working a 5-day event, is that right?
5-day job. This one was grueling. It was great people. They were great people, but 5 days with anybody is excessive. The silver lining of this, though, they had 2 practice rounds before the tournament. The actual tournament was a scramble.
Did you do, so 5 days altogether, 2 days tournament? Or 7 days?
3-day tournament, 2 practice rounds,
okay.
3-day scramble.
I have to ask, are you sure you're not smoking, drinking, something to get 5 days?
It's a lie. It's winter time, man. You gotta hustle. You gotta get out there and work.
Winter work is different from summer work.
It's very different.
So
money's different.
The money's different.
People are different. They feel different. They smell different.
I tell you what, seeing your lot, they certainly look different as well.
They are a different breed, the winter people.
Either would you call it discount golf?
To a certain extent, it is. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely cheaper here on the peninsula to play golf in the winter. You get better stay and play packages. They cut better deals. So yeah, it's a slightly different crowd. I mean, they still have money, but
yeah. I said to you, was this the loop we were warned about?
Yes. One of our friends texted us and said, I got these people coming out. You may or may not want to caddy for them. And I'm like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm already caddying for him. He's like, oh, okay, then you're all set up. Good luck with that.
So you did it. I wouldn't do it. I said straight away, no. Well, imagine if this guy's saying, listen, lads, I've got this. These people are coming out. They might request you. And he's like, one of them's a bit of a prick. I take no
responsibility. Yeah.
He says one of them's a bit of a prick. You might want to be busy that week.
That is kind of red flags all over that. When one of your players says, I gave him your number, but just so you know, you probably don't want to caddy for him. That's red flags all over.
Well, Zabbo was not busy. He did 5 days with it, and hats off to you for that, because that's monumental.
Well, I had caddied for him before, so I knew what I was getting into, and they're good people. I mean, they're very good people. The guy that he thought's a prick, I don't think's a prick. He was a little curmudgeon-y, but he was fine.
Are they part of that 27% though?
They definitely are. Yeah. So we get to the last day of 5 days. I'm talking, this is 5 days. You're talking 5-hour rounds. You're talking
5.
We're at least in the tournament's more than that. So you're talking, we're maybe in our 38th hour together. Have not been offered one beverage, one bite to eat, one anything. And I come to the tent at the big course where your lovely wife works, and I'm like, hey, Natalia, how are you? Good to see you. And I'm standing next to my player. I'm chatting to your wife. And my player comes up, and he's like, hey, Mike, you want something to drink? I said, I would love something. That'd be great.
I would have loved something on Tuesday.
And he goes, oh, here you go. I had some free drink tickets to burn. I'm like, ouch. Nicest people in the world. God bless them. I love them. I'll caddy for them again, but they were nice. But I was just, and then I texted you and Natalia right after that, and I was like, 5 days with these people. 5 days. Didn't get offered one thing. And then he says, I had a free drink ticket to burn.
Yeah. Any hot dog at the turn?
Nothing to eat. Unfortunately, after that hole, too.
All the tickets were gone?
This actually gets better because after that hole, this is the fourth hole we finish.
All right.
And there's a little backup on 5T, and I had a little intestinal issue I needed to really take care of. And I was like, I probably shouldn't have waited. I figured I could have made it, but it was a slow day. And I was like, I was on the 5th tee, and I was like, I'm certainly not going to make it to 9. I said, guys, I'm going to need to take this cart and run back. I'll be back up with you in a bit. And one of my other dudes is like, I'll ride back with you. That's cool. So I turn the cart around, make a beeline for the bathroom behind us. And we roll by your wife, and Natalia looks at her, she's waving. She's kind of like frowning at us, like, what are you doing? Waving. And then we go by, and then we get back to the tee, and a couple holes later, Natalia's like, you'll never forget this. Mike had to run his player back to the bathroom. And I go, player? I was like, he tagged along for the ride. I was running myself.
That bottle of water went straight through you.
Unbelievable.
They actually, the following day, there's still yellow caution tape around that bathroom, by the way.
Hey, man, I had to go. There was no delay in it, and I went and I made it back in time for their tee shots, which was nice.
When I was back in Scotland, I played golf, actually. And
you were back there a good bit. It's good to have you back.
5 weeks I was home, and I ended up going up to the Renaissance Club, playing up there. Real posh place up there.
How do you pronounce that?
Renaissance.
You mean the Renaissance Club?
Oh, no. The French, we call it the Renaissance.
Was it in France or was it in Scotland?
No, it was up in Scotland, but 40 minutes from Edinburgh.
Yeah. So there you go.
And I don't, as you know, I didn't own waterproofs, rain gear.
Yeah, the only Scottish guy in the world that doesn't, yeah.
And I looked at the weather forecast. It was the one day out of 10. So perfect. It's not going to rain. Mm-hmm. Pish down for 4 hours.
Of course, yeah.
4 hours, well, 3 hours, 40 minutes.
So you're saying the weather forecasters back there are similar to the ones here? They have no clue?
Well, over there it's much easier, isn't it?
It's going to rain every day.
They're trying to pick the day when it's dry.
That's funny.
Oh, it was miserable. Especially the front 9, it just started pissing down, and it was windy as well. So you're hoping that the clouds. But all the wind was doing was
blowing it sideways.
Just blowing one rain cloud after another. But that's where they play the Scottish Open.
Oh, every year they play it at the same course.
I think they've got the contract for something like 10 years. They're paying.
That's the one the week before the Open.
That's the one. That's the warm up.
That's a great tournament.
It's right next to Muirfield.
Nice.
And then Archerfield is on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
So,
did you take a caddy?
No, I actually carried my own bag.
Wow.
Yeah, I very much doubt they had caddies in the middle of December. I can't imagine there's much work. But a very, very, very nice place. But just, it doesn't matter if I'm over here. It doesn't matter if I'm over there. But what it did do was it helped me add something to my list, which we'll get onto, about our Golf or Caddy resolutions for the new year.
Oh, there's resolutions?
Yes. Resolutions are all...
You're going to make the same mistakes you always do. You're terrible, and you're never going to commit just like your other resolutions you make. Get out of here.
Yeah, same scumbag antics. There's a lot of stuff here, actually. I had a loop for these people from Southern California. I tried my best. It was a referral. Mm-hmm. Okay, so...
They didn't have USC head covers, did they?
No.
Thank God, yeah. Red flags.
When it comes from a good source, you sometimes get complacent to explain how things work.
Yeah, what the ins and outs.
Yeah,
how you want to get fed.
To get the money. To get me out of bed. Because of the source, I didn't think it was an issue, and it was kind of a comedy of errors. I did text the night before and say, by the way, there's a new system in place. If you're walking. Mm-hmm. I said, I'll walk the big course. There's no way I'm walking the other one. Because I really honestly believe right now the course is so saturated, it's dangerous for us to be carrying golf bags.
It is very saturated. Slipping's, even at the big course, slipping is an issue on a couple of... You got to pick your spots, but it's very saturated.
Not remember last year, I actually got you a cart because you did the splits and still stayed in your feet somehow in numbers 5 there.
Yes, I remember.
No, you need to get a cart. But it's so wet. You're one slip away from being unemployed.
Breaking your back. Breaking a leg.
So they wanted to walk, and they say, "Okay, I'm a 5. He's like a +4. Okay,
oh, geez,
right? Heard that before. And I says, well, just make sure the bags are really light. And I'm thinking, well, club members, this will be no problem at all.
Mm-hmm, they get it.
They'll get it. And I turn up, and I could tell who the bags were. And I picked them up, and I thought, oof, a bit of weight there. Mm-hmm. But it's maybe just because I hardly carry anymore. I mean, I thought
true.
maybe it's just
you have nothing to compare it to.
Yeah, exactly. So I start walking down the fairway, and I get to the first green, and I'm looking through one of the bags, the dad's. And by the way, he shouldn't be anywhere near the back tees. He should be well up. He's persisted for 2 days. I'm going to play back here. I'm going to play back.
Not a great 5.
Nightmare. Absolute nightmare. I tell you what, I would have said he would have been a good 16.
Wow, that's not saying much. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Really poor. And I start going through he's got 7 wedges. 7 wedges. And I start counting them. 17 clubs, Zabbo.
17?
17. When I say to
17.
him, when I make this point to him, I said, you get 17 clubs in here. He says, oh, I took 4 out, as if I should give him a medal for taking 4 out.
You had 21 clubs?
21 clubs in the bag. And then he took 4 out and nothing else. And the boys' bag wasn't much better. It was one of those, it was a double strap as well. I don't know how these two things, they're meant to check the bags before we throw them on our back.
They're supposed to.
And it was absolute nightmare. So I get tipped at the end. Okay, no worries.
Mediocre at best.
Mediocre. The message hadn't filtered through. I go the next day. I get paid less.
He paid you less?
He paid me less, then sends me a text that night saying, it was wonderful, you made the trip. So I don't.
Well, is that because you carried the bags the first day and didn't carry them
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, is
it's
that?
like, oh, I don't have to pay as much because you didn't carry.
I never replied because I thought, whatever, I don't care that much. However, it did. I added a little bit to my resolutions of what's going to go forward.
I get what you're saying. I did the same thing last year. I had a similar situation, and I said I created a template. I say this is what I forward to every single person that I get referred to. The only people I don't do it to is people I've caddied for before, because I have a feeling they know what they're going to pay me because they've paid it to me in years past. I have gone wrong in that regard sometimes, but usually I just send them a text and I say, this is what it costs. If you're uncomfortable with that, there's plenty of caddies out here.
Yeah. Last thing before we move on to our resolutions, I worked with Dino, old Dino, the last couple of days.
Love Dino.
And he's going to come on an episode in the next couple of months. Perfect. This is an old-timey caddy out here of Italian descent and absolute gold.
Funny enough, in my other line of work, just last night I met somebody and they find out that I'm a caddy. They said, hey, do you know Dino? I'm like, yeah, I know Dino. I love Dino. They're good buddies with Dino.
Everyone knows Dino.
Yeah.
We came up with some ideas for some fun content, actually. So he's going to be one of our guests in the upcoming season. Now, before we move on to the next segment about our Golf or Caddy resolutions for the new season, here is a quick message from our podcast sponsor,
Big Game Golf.
Every golfing group has the guy who coordinates the weekly game or the buddies trip. If you're that guy, you'll be very familiar with the pain and frustration scheduling, managing and scoring your game. Why not make your life easier by downloading the Big Game Golf app and start saving time and hassle today? Whether you're a caddy wanting to engage more with your golfers, a pro shop wanting to get out of running the weekly game, or you're that guy wanting to streamline the process, Big Game Golf is here to help you. The app has over 30 games, so there is no need to keep playing the same boring games with your mates week in and week out. The app is also fully integrated with the USGA, so every player's handicap will automatically be incorporated, which saves time and, more importantly, sandbagging. Simply choose your game, keep score, and the app will do all the calculations with live scoring, leaderboards, and contest results. Big Game Golf will even text players the final results. So start improving your golf experience today by downloading the app. Golf and Caddy New Year resolutions, Zabbo. I've made a list.
Of resolutions of your own?
Resolutions. Now, these are
you've
purely,
made or?
Yeah, I've made them. Okay. But they're purely, this is not about life. This is purely about golf and caddying. Okay, so what do you think would be at the top of my list?
Quit talking so much.
Okay, wrong. I thought you were going to say be on time, but I'm not. That's not on there.
Live in the present.
Oh, that'd be a good one. Yeah. That would be good. However, none of those are in there.
None of the ones that I need work on are in there.
After my experience playing golf at Renaissance in Scotland.
Oh, buy rain gear.
Be prepared with all the right gear.
That's a good call.
I'm sick and tired of going where we work and getting wet feet.
Oh, 100% with you.
Where you work is an absolute disgrace at how wet that place continues to be all the way through the day. You have nice new trainers on. You take one swipe in the rough and the foot is done for the day. It's awful for you.
I've solved that problem personally, but yeah.
I went to a place called REI, which is like Millets in the UK. You can buy tents and
recreational equipment incorporated or something. Yeah,
something like that. Good place.
It is a good place.
Got a lovely pair of shoes. They're kind of like walking boot stroke trainers.
Nice.
Very comfortable. I think Solomon, the brand. Very, very nice. I had to take the first pair back because they were Gore-Tex, but they didn't quite keep the feet wet.
What's the price point? Are they like under $200?
Under $200.
Nice. That's not bad.
Will keep my feet dry.
Nice.
So I'll only wear them in morning loops, and then when it's rainy, like just now. I also bought some very basic waterproofs, like a top and trousers. Huge pair of gloves, just in case it gets very cold.
Yeah.
I then went up to a place called Eddie Bauer, and I bought a bunch of trousers. I realised that my mate gave me the trousers that had the hole in the crotch.
Yeah.
Aye. That's a good episode, actually. A good story in there about where
it is
the ball bag touched the cold leather. Not good. Some people pay for that as well. Do you know that? That's what's crazy about
good
that.
Money in some places.
But I haven't had a pair of trousers for work for 15 months.
Just been shorting it a lot. Yeah, a lot of shorts.
Procrastinating.
Yeah.
Threatening to lose weight, to have a little less girth.
There you go.
I always buy 34
inch.
Get
the right size, yeah. There's another resolution on the list.
So having the right gear, very, very important this year for me. Right. Next one, pertaining to my story about 17 Club Boy. Communication. I got complacent. I took it for granted that because of the referral agent, information would have been passed all the way through to the end user. It was not.
Yeah, and that's almost always the case. I've come to realize that they always refer you to them, but they almost never talk about, procedure and monetary issues and stuff like that.
The only reason I'm doing it is to get paid.
Yeah.
And I ultimately, my sloppiness cost me some money.
Yeah.
So I'd like to get in better shape.
It's good one on the list.
And I have the membership at the club. And there is no excuse.
There's no excuse, although that club is primarily a drinking club too. So I mean, you got to weigh them in both hands there. Am I going to work out more? Am I going to drink more when I'm there? So.
Well, I was talking to one of the old members at the club, and he said, "Listen, we're in the hot tub." And he said, "Listen,
with a cocktail in hand, they're in the hot tub talking about working out."
So true. He said, "Listen, son, I've seen a lot of guys come in and out of this club," and he says, the more time you spend down here and the less time you spend up there, the longer you'll be a member. I was like, okay, no worries. So now being in better shape is not only going to help caddying, but it's also going to help me on my next thing on the list, which is at least have a golf club in my hand once per week.
Once per week?
Once a week, either hitting some balls or playing around the golf.
That's ambitious. I like it. That's ambitious.
Not bad. And the final one is preparation. I want to be prepared. I want to always
everything.
No. Golf and caddy only.
Okay, golf and everything.
I want to always have golf tees in my pocket. I have 6,000 golf tees in the workshop. They're all glorified donkey real life caddy podcast tees. There is no excuse for me not to have a handful of tees or a pencil or my rangefinder. I tried to lose it again yesterday, by the way. Shout out to the boy Joel. It was like, "Hey, Big G left." It's the second time already this year. It's been left,
and he's only worked 3 times.
I've only worked actually twice. So, just preparation, clean towel, properly dressed. Just that's my thing going forward.
I like it.
All very attainable.
Yeah,
I'll still keep on turning up 3 minutes before my tee off time.
That's never going to change. Yeah.
I'm going to struggle to live in the present, that's for sure, because I'll always be thinking about the 18th hole and finishing. Anything for yourself?
Well, I didn't make any, but now that you're saying all these, the preparation is key. For me, I always think about, like, players always ask you, do you have a Band-Aid? Do you have a Sharpie? I never have those things. I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to try to make a resolution to be more prepared with the stuff I bring out. little plastic bag. Have a couple of Band-Aids. Have a Sharpie. Have some ball markers when the player asks.
Love that.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing you always want, and I am prepared with that. I might not have a spare ball. I might not have a rangefinder. I might not have a wet towel. I might not have a tee. But I always have ibuprofen, Alka-Seltzer, or Tums.
All good for hangovers, yeah.
I think that's really the essence of the year going forward is preparation.
I like it. We're gonna take an inventory in about 3 months, and we're gonna check up on you.
Okay.
And then at the end of the year, we're gonna do a recap and see how these resolutions worked out for you.
Hold us to this. In 3 months' time, send us an email, podcast@glorifieddonkey.com, in case we forget.
Accountability.
The other thing I bought, a huge calendar.
A calendar, like a real calendar, like
a real calendar.
Put your real jobs in.
It goes on your desk, so it's about 4 times, so it's huge. But there you go. I got a big old calendar. I can put everything in there, and I'll put that in the calendar. In 3 months' time, we'll have a look at that. One of yours should be take food.
Take food with me. Yeah, be prepared. Bring your own food. You can't always bank on those players to buy you something like they should.
Lovely. If anyone else out there has any New Year's resolutions for golf or caddying, let us know. Quickly before we move on to mailbag questions and our shout out, Zabbo, the world of golf has moved on somewhat in the last 3 months. John Rahm moved to the evil live golf for many people.
It's a big move.
Huge.
Does it move the needle is the question.
100%.
You think that? I thought somebody of that stature would move the needle, but we'll see.
It's inevitable. Listen, when money's involved, it's always going to end up going one way.
That's true. Money wins.
However, it's an absolute shambles.
Total shambles. They said they were going to reach a deal. We'd understand what the deal would be by Christmas, then January 1st, and that's come and gone. And there's still, it's up in the air. They signed Brandel Chambly to be the lead analyst now for NBC. Did you see that? That's going to be exciting. You think he'll unblock us?
That shows you how much money they have to waste.
Yeah, exactly.
But I know in America there's always been sort of strikes between the players and the owners where the season didn't kick off or what.
Yeah.
But that's within. This is, nobody knows what's going on across all the boards.
Yeah, that's an interesting point you bring up because I never thought of it in terms of that. Like with the owners and players on minimum salaries and stuff like that, there have been strikes in sports before. Baseball, for instance, there was a huge strike. I mean, you don't have that on the PGA Tour. They tell you what the purses are going to be and what you're going to be paid. The Live has done that for them. That's been their say, okay, you're not going to pay me what I think I'm worth. I'll just go play for them. I'll go play for the money they're willing to offer me. So, I mean, it's healthy competition if you ask me.
And then your boy, McIlroy.
My boy.
Unbelievable.
He's your boy.
This guy's unbelievable. Just the mouthpiece for the PGA Tour is now talking about how he wants some sort of Champions League type, top of the pile, make more money world tour.
He doesn't know what side of the fence he's on anymore. He really doesn't. He's lost.
What he really needed was some sort of agent to really guide him through this.
Or just say, Rory,
PR, just
all you need to do is keep your mouth shut and play golf. If you want to go to Live, go to Live. If you want to play in the PGA Tour, just keep your mouth shut and play golf because that's all that it boils down to. You're not the face of the game as much as you think you are. He's close to it, but the face of the game is Tiger Woods. You know, he's not. Rory McIlroy is not the face of the current game.
Have you seen Tiger Woods?
I have. It's
a really big face, by the way.
It is a big face.
It's a lot bigger face.
He's playing golf again.
Aye, okay, sure. When I was home, I was watching one of the Dubai tournaments in November, and all I want to hear is for a bit of honesty of all these players. It's not about the integrity of the game. It's not about legacy. It's about pay me as much money as I can get.
Of course.
That's what
of course.
Honesty is brilliant when people just say, no, I just want to make as much money from this as possible. At least you can then move on. The McIlroy thing, all the kind of legacy nonsense. Now we're Champions League. And then he's thrown out numbers about what the revenue is of each tour and how much bigger it could be and bringing it to a new audience and blah, blah, blah. Well, it all comes back to money. I think it also comes back to a lot of the sports betting. Wait to see how sports betting and golf start going hand in hand very much.
It's huge now. It's already huge, but it's going to get bigger.
It's huge, but it's going to, you're going to have I would predict in 5 years, probably 20% of the tournaments on tour will be sponsored by betting companies.
That wouldn't shock me.
Like
either.
MGM or whatever
That wouldn't shock me.
That's what I predict. But as I'm watching this golf tournament in Dubai, Tommy Fleetwood's playing. And Ewan Murray, who is one of the voices of Sky Sports Golf, he's commentating. He starts talking about Tommy Fleetwood and how Tommy has just opened his new golf academy, Centre of Excellence. And I thought, that's nice. Giving back, maybe back in Southport.
Helping the young kids. Yeah.
He says, based here in Dubai. And then he said this, he says, there's Tommy doing his bit to grow the game. Thought, this bullshit about growing the game.
Grow the game. I
don't know. Yeah. Like if you were a professional golfer and made 200 million, like where I'm from, if I was given 200 million, I'd say, right, every kid in Scotland is going to get a chance to touch a golf club and give it a try over the next 5 years.
Yeah, that's noble.
You know what I mean? It's like, that wouldn't take much, but it's like this facade of growing the game. It's nonsense. Then, so if you go to the Tommy Fleetwood Golf Academy, everything's up to date in the Dubai one. He did have one in Formby, which is where he's from, the area he's from in northwest England. There's been no updates on that website for a year now.
Yeah, they open up these things to make them look good, and then they don't touch it. They throw a little money at it and say, here you go.
So again, folks, we have no idea what's going on in the world of golf. The world of golf has no idea what's going on in the world of golf. So watch this space. We're now going to move on to our mailbag questions and our notable mentions / shoutouts. 4 listener mailbag questions, Zabbo. We have a couple of belters here.
Okay, my favorite part. Let's shoot.
Yes, one of my favourites too. What advice do you have for someone looking to make a career as a caddy? And that one comes from Donald McClafferty from Clare Castle in Clare. I'm guessing that's from Ireland.
Has to be.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to someone looking to make a career? Career? Would you call yourself? You got a career?
I at this point, definitely a career caddy. I did not set out to be. I don't think many career caddies set out to be career caddies, unless maybe. He didn't specify. Was it PGA Tour or club caddy? If you set out on the PGA Tour, that's a rough road to break into. Mm-hmm. But club caddying, I don't think a lot of us set out to make it a career. I think after 4 or 5 years, I said, yeah, this is it. This is what I'm doing. And especially when I got out here, I love it out here. I love what I do. And I was like, this is it. I could be content doing this the rest of my life out here. I really could.
Well, that's not the question though. What advice you got?
Good point. More about me, Donald, less about you. Let's talk about me. But if you want to make a career out of it, get into it young. Hone your game. I think getting better at the game of golf will make you a better caddy. I think there's a lot of great caddies who are not great golfers, but I think the better you are at the game, the better you strive to be, the better your caddy ability. And if you want to make a career out of it, get out there and do it. The more you do it, the more you're going to learn. Learn how to deal with different people. You're going to come across very different personalities, and the basic caddy advice: show up, keep up, and shut up can serve you well for the first couple of years until you get your feet about. Well, there's no shut up in G. There's no question about that. Shut up. What are you talking about? I need to talk. Talking's my bread and butter.
And I'll turn up late as well.
That's true. He barely shows up.
I'll tell you what, my advice, Donald.
My advice, Donald, is don't take any advice from Gordon.
If you are serious about making caddying a career, treat it like a proper job. Mm-hmm. Have business cards.
Correct.
Be prepared. Have tees. Have markers. Have everything we just talked about in our preparation.
That we don't do, yes.
Right? And treat it like a proper job. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And network. Network like anyone's business. Mm-hmm. Take numbers, email addresses. Don't be too pushy now. If someone doesn't want to give you a number, don't give it.
Yeah,
don't keep on pushing.
Don't grab for it. Let it come to you. There's no truer statement. Networking in this job, you make so many contacts across the world, really, and you have places to go. Like, if you're good at it, people are going to invite you to go many different places. I've traveled to Scotland, Mexico. I've been all over, played in member guests. I mean, you play all these different golf courses and meet all these people you would never come across if you had a regular 9 to 5.
Yeah. So treat it like a proper job, because you never know. You may leave, you might do it for a few summers, you might leave, you might come back. But once you're in for at least 5 years, it's like being in the penitentiary. You are institutionalized.
You are.
It'll be very hard to join the real world.
You can't get out.
Next question. Do tour caddies ever seek local caddy info at tour events? That's from Derek, and he is from a place called North Brand in the state of Michigan.
I mean, I can only speak from personal experience. I'd never seen it in all the years I've worked out here until I started caddying for Larry Fitzgerald in the AT&T, and even then, like the first year, there wasn't much going on because Kevin Streeman's always our partner. Actually, it was the first year. We played a few practice rounds, and then he had one putt on the first hole we played on the 10th hole at the week course, and Larry hit the green, and he had like a 10-footer, and it clearly. I've seen that green a million times. It breaks left to right, but it looks right to left. It truly looks right to left, but it breaks left to right. And Streelman comes up, and I had Larry like a cup out left. And Streelman goes, "What do you think, like 2 cups out right?" Mm-hmm. And Larry looks at him, and he's like, "No, he had me a cup out left." And Streelman's like, no chance. And Larry's like, Mike's caddied for me a handful of times. I do pretty well with him. I'm just going to, and he drains the putt.
On your read? On
my read. And then Streelman walked over to the rules official and said, "Hey, is it okay for my amateur's caddy to read my putts?" Mm-hmm. He said, "As long as it's your partner, there's no issue." So that was the only time I've ever seen it. I think it does happen, though, at tour events. Like some tour pros will hire a local...
he says tour caddies.
Some tour caddies will hire local caddies. When they go. They'd say, "Give me the best caddy you have." And they walk around with them in a practice round or even before they even play, just to show them local nuances. I mean, some of these guys are bright enough to realize we see these courses day in and day out, and we know them far better than they do. Granted, their guy's not going to give up their tour caddy, but a little local knowledge goes a long way.
Are you, Larry and Streelman all still sharing a bed this year?
Streelman's probably not playing. I mean, Larry is playing. I will be caddying for him. But yes, it's only the top 80 in the world. It's an elevated event this year.
Just 2 in the bed.
Yeah.
I've got to be honest. I've said it before. I'm blown away by the arrogance of both tour professionals and tour caddies. That
agreed.
This idea of local knowledge doesn't really affect them. I just blows me away. Like, I would just want to know a little bit of basic information. And what do you think about this? Going around with a local caddy in one practice round, or not even the practice round. Maybe it just be when they're doing their walk around.
Exactly.
So.
But they don't do it. They very rarely do it.
Few and far between.
Yeah,
I do think that any time we've been at pro-ams and once you're out in the course with the actual tour caddies, they're good lads, but they think they're better than locals.
For sure. So, that's one of my favorite things to watch in these tournaments. Watch these tour pros and their caddies and misread the hell out of some of the greens. It's like, and then I'll nudge. Like a lot of it happens during the first tee. These senior guys, they get out here, and then my guy who I've caddied for years, I always nudge him. I say, "Hey, watch this. Watch what's going to happen. He's going to miss it 2 feet on the wrong side of the hole." That's always fun.
Okay, last question. What's the most frequently asked question you get when you say you're a caddy? This comes from Ed George in San Francisco.
Number 1, by far, we have to be in ground. "So what else do you do?" What else do you do? Because you obviously can't just do this, not based on what I'm going to pay you.
Yeah, well, you're going to get a proper job.
Yeah. What do you do? What else do you do?
Were you the eye candy in Loopers?
Oh, jeez. Yeah. You do get recognized for that a lot.
Most frequently asked question, we got to go 3, right? Well, who's the most famous person you ever carried for?
Of course. Yeah, of course.
And then I'd have to say there is a kind of is this a real job for you, or is it part-time, or what? Yeah, that's
that first question though. Who's the most famous? I love Brandon because Brandon always makes up somebody, and he goes, "Yeah, Richard Simmons." It's great. Brandon is classic.
I'd heard this before. There's a caddy. He's obviously mentally gone, But he would tell everyone that he caddied for Pee Wee Herman. Pee Wee Herman. And then he says, oh yeah, he loves coming out here. He says that. And then he's got these guys completely, and he's just like putty in his hand. And he says, yeah, I was standing here over by 11. He says, yeah, I see this guy coming up off of the beach, and he's got a hoodie on. He's you can't really see his face. But I knew, I'd been with him a couple of times. Great short game. Really great short game, right? And the guy's like,
stroke it.
And he goes, and I went, hey, Pee Wee. And he says, he just turned around, he looked, and he winked at me. These boys believed it.
That's awesome.
Who is the most famous person you ever caddied for?
I'd say Tom Brady.
Who's he?
Used to play football a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Right. If you have
How about you? Who's the most famous person?
The Donald.
Oh, yeah. Donald.
You
You had him in the tournament in
No, in Scotland when he used to come out to Aberdeen when he built that course. Quite a controversial golf course, as you'd expect. But yeah, that was classic. Absolutely hilarious. Some of the stuff that happened there. Tremendous. If you have any questions, send them in on the Twitter, Instagram, or by email, podcast@glorifieddonkey.com. Now we need to move on to our shout out, Zabbo. Over the Christmas period, we had a number of people buy us a beer. Like we said in that little advert, if you do want to support us, if you don't feel obliged, but if you do,
no,
you can
feel
go to the
obliged.
website.
Feel obliged.
Feel obliged.
Come on.
Buy a hot dog. Buy a caddy a hot dog or a bottle of water.
Exactly. I'm starving over here.
We had a few people. Do you have any? You've got a couple of names there?
Sean McGolfer bought us a beer.
Sean McGolfer. Look at that. Not his real name, I'm guessing.
It could be, but we got to thank him. We also got to thank good friend Jesse Shepard who bought us a beer. Jesse, thank you.
Jesse from Seattle. Good lad.
Yeah, thanks for supporting.
I got a Ray Kloppenberg. This guy actually on Twitter, he wanted me to put him in contact with his caddy. Wow. He just says, listen, I had one of the best times out there ever. My caddy's name was Rich. If you can put me in contact with him, I'll buy you 6 beers.
There's only like 2 Riches, and you know which
more
one.
More than that, dude.
Oh, yeah.
No, there's a lot more than you think. There's probably about 10 Richies.
Seriously, wow.
Richard. Rich.
Oh, yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
Didn't take... there were 6 beers in the line, so it only took me about 5 minutes. I whittled it down very quickly.
Gotcha.
Ray Kloppenberg. And then Blair Sullivan, your boy.
Oh, yeah, I love Blair. I'm going to shoot you those dates. Blair's going to come out for a little snowboarding trip. But yeah, he started listening and loves the podcast.
Fantastic. Excellent. And we also have to give a wee shout out to a regular listener and Real Life Caddy podcast pervert, Brian Zilowski.
Love you, Brian.
Hadn't heard from Brian in a long time.
I know. I haven't heard from him at all. I was wondering if he was still listening.
Yeah, well, I was wondering if he was still alive.
You never know.
I tell you what.
You never know.
I sent him a text during the week, and he says he's been recovering from pneumonia. So
jeez, Brian.
I wasn't far off, old boy.
Rest up, Brian. I also got to shout out the many, many, many listeners that have texted me, as I'm sure have texted you, who've been waiting for a new episode. We Gordon's dad passed away. He was attending to business back in Scotland, but we are back and we're looking forward to a good new season. All the people that texted, there was too many to mention, really.
Good point. And actually a big thank you to everyone that sent a message and a lot of very kind words about, obviously my dad dying and stuff. So really appreciate that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of really, and it was genuine as well. You know what I mean? Of
course.
It's kind of shocks you sometimes that, humanity can be
people care
a lot nicer than me, that's for sure. So, but anyway, Zabbo, many thanks for your time. Get off there, get your New Year's resolutions into gear.
Mm-hmm. Actually, stick to them for a change. Yeah.
Give
it a shot. What's the worst that could happen?
And folks, we'll be back in a couple of weeks for another episode. But until then, enjoy your golf. But more importantly,
keep it humble.
Keep it humble.